Zoe Slater's exit is no longer just a question mark. A shocking new report has revealed exactly how her story could end, and if it plays out as reported, Kat Slater is about to face one of the most devastating moments of her life. But Zoe isn't the only major shock heading to Walford. Sean Slater is coming back for good. Max Branning's enemies are multiplying, his secret affair is becoming more dangerous, and we already know that his future ends with him being arrested on New Year's Day. Meanwhile, Denise's fight for survival is about to bring a completely unexpected family connection into the square, while Suki and Eve are being lined up for a major autumn storyline that EastEnders is deliberately keeping secret. And then there is the double wedding, because Cindy and Max are supposed to get married while Max is secretly sleeping with pregnant Priya. So what exactly is EastEnders building towards? Let's break down the biggest autumn spoilers.
Zoe Slater's shock death. Let's start with the storyline that could leave the Slater family completely broken. We already knew that Michelle Ryan is leaving EastEnders as Zoe Slater, but now a new report claims that Zoe will actually be killed off, and the reported circumstances are incredibly tragic. Zoe is said to suffer a fall and hit her head, but instead of realizing how serious the injury is, she reportedly brushes it off. She carries on with her life, apparently believing that she is fine. Then comes the devastating twist. The following day, Kat reportedly finds Zoe dead in bed. And honestly, this could be one of the most painful exits imaginable for Kat, because Kat has already spent so much of her life trying to protect Zoe, trying to rebuild their relationship, and trying to be there for her daughter. To then discover Zoe dead would completely destroy her. There is also another reason this report is being taken seriously. Funeral scenes have reportedly been filmed. So while EastEnders has not officially confirmed every detail of the reported death, there is clearly a major exit storyline being prepared for Zoe.
And I think the timing is particularly interesting. Zoe only returned after around 20 years away from Walford. Her comeback opened up huge family revelations, including the discovery of her long-lost children, Josh and Jasmine. So if the character really is being killed off, EastEnders isn't simply ending an old storyline. They're potentially leaving Kat, Jasmine, Josh, and the wider Slater family to deal with the consequences. And there is one more name we need to remember here, Sean Slater, because Sean is returning to Walford at exactly the point when the Slater family is heading into another major crisis.
Sean Slater is back, and he's bringing chaos. Rob Kaczynski is returning as Sean Slater, and this time it isn't just a brief guest appearance. Sean is coming back as a full-time character, and the producer has already teased that he has some very exciting plans ahead. What makes Sean's return so interesting is that he isn't coming back to a quiet Slater family. There is already Zoe's exit, there is already chaos surrounding the Brannings, and Sean has history with several people in the square. He has connections to Amy, Max, and Jack.
The relationship with Max is particularly interesting because the two men have a complicated past. So Sean doesn't need months of introductions before causing trouble. He can walk straight back into Walford and immediately have unfinished business with people.
Max Branning's secret life is about to collapse. Now we come to Max Branning, and this man is heading towards an absolute disaster. Max is preparing to marry Cindy Beale, but behind Cindy's back he's sleeping with Priya, and Priya is pregnant. Even worse for Max, there is a possibility that the baby could actually be his. And Priya is engaged to Ravi Gulati, so just think about the mess we're dealing with here. Cindy thinks she's marrying Max. Priya is carrying a baby that could belong to Max. Ravi believes he's building a future with Priya. And somewhere in the middle of all this is Max, trying to keep everything under control.
Which, let's be honest, doesn't exactly sound like a plan that's going to end well. The autumn is also building towards a double wedding. Cindy and Max are getting married, while Kim and Howie are preparing for their own wedding.
Producer Ben Wadey has described it as a kind of wedding war. Cindy and Max are throwing money at their big day, while Kim and Howie have completely different financial pressures. But underneath all the wedding drama is one massive secret: Max's affair. And this is where the New Year's Day flash forward becomes even more important. Because we already know that on January 1st, 2027, Max is arrested. The flash forward showed him preparing for another wedding, with his bride still a mystery, while his children are also placed in danger. So the question isn't simply, will Max get arrested? We already know that he will. The bigger question is, what does he do between now and New Year's Day to make so many people turn against him? And Ben Wadey has practically admitted that this is going to be the game throughout autumn, watching how many people Max manages to anger before the big day.
Denise Fox's life hangs in the balance. While Max is creating problems for himself, Denise Fox is fighting a battle of a completely different kind. Denise's blood cancer storyline is becoming even more serious. Her treatment has reached such a worrying stage that she is placed into a medical coma while her family desperately searches for a suitable stem cell donor. And then comes an extraordinary family revelation. Denise's long-lost half-brother, Darnell Larson Jr., arrives in Walford, and he's bringing his daughter with him. The incredible thing is that Denise didn't even know Darnell existed. Her family finds him through an ancestry website because they desperately need to find a possible donor.
But Darnell doesn't arrive knowing that his newly discovered half-sister is critically ill. So when he finally sees Denise in hospital, the reality completely overwhelms him. He reportedly panics and leaves. And that's where Jack gets involved. Jack knows that Darnell could potentially be Denise's lifeline, so he has to find him and convince him to help. But Jack isn't exactly the most diplomatic person in Walford, so when he eventually comes face to face with Darnell and Grace, emotions are expected to run extremely high. And this is one storyline where I don't think EastEnders is going to give us an easy answer. The producer has already described some of Denise's upcoming episodes as among the most powerful episodes he's seen during his time on the show. That tells us this isn't just a quick family reunion. This is going to have consequences, and Darnell and Grace could become much more important to Denise's story than anyone initially expected.
Then there's Suki and Eve, and this one is perhaps the biggest mystery because we genuinely don't know what's coming. Ben Wadey has confirmed that Suki and Eve have something major coming up this autumn. Their adoption and fostering journey with Priya has been deliberately slow and realistic, but now their situation is becoming increasingly difficult. Priya's biological mother could potentially seek custody. Then Priya gets injured at a party, and suddenly Suki is terrified that the incident could damage their chances of keeping Priya.
Linda Carter's final chapter. And there's one more major development that shouldn't be overlooked. Linda Carter is leaving EastEnders. Kelly Bright is set to depart after 13 years as Linda, although her character will remain on screen into early 2027. And EastEnders is clearly planning a major farewell. Linda's children Lee and Nancy Carter are both returning for short stints. That means Linda's children will all be together on screen before her departure. And the producer has promised that the first cliffhanger involving Lee and Nancy will make viewers' jaws drop. Then there's Janine. Charlie Brooks is also returning, bringing Linda's longtime nemesis back into the picture. So Linda's final months could be anything but quiet. And with Johnny Carter also leaving, the Carter family is facing a huge period of change.